So these free-to-play shooters, they just keep flooding over to the Nintendo Switch. We got Fortnite and Paladins a few weeks ago. I guess Paladins might not be technically free-to-play yet. I don't know if it's fully released in its free-to-play form yet. But now we just got that recent announcement trailer confirming that Warframe is making its way to the Switch. This one I'm actually the most interested in out of this recent spackling of free-to-play games. I actually played this game briefly a few years ago. I enjoyed it, but it was one of those things where there was just too much other stuff that I was more into, so I never really got too crazy into it. But everyone I know who has played it with some regularity lately raves about it. Like, I've heard from many people who go hard with this free-to-play stuff that this is their favorite free-to-play game. They've supposedly done a lot with adding new content, new characters to play as, and since launch, which was back in like 2013, so over the course of quite a few years, really built this game into something impressive. I've been looking for an excuse, honestly, to check it out again, and I think this is surely going to work. Beyond that, unlike these other competitive shooters we've gotten recently, Warframe fills a broad gap in terms of games that I've been saying the Switch needs more of in general. Cooperative online games. So much of this stuff we have that is online for the Switch, when you look at it, it's mostly competitive. Very little focus is placed on cooperative online experiences in the current Switch lineup of games. You get something like, oh, but the salmon run in Splatoon. Well, yeah, it's there, but that isn't the focus of Splatoon. In this game, the cooperative modes are very much the focus, tackling missions as a team, trying to complete them for rewards, and as I've stated in the past, the cooperative stuff, like Monster Hunter type games, for instance, are always more interesting to me than straight competitive games. Still, that's just me, but as I also said, I don't think there's currently much of that on the Switch. So the game itself, if you're not familiar, is a third-person sci-fi shooter RPG. I don't even know if I'd strictly call this a shooter, because there is a good amount of melee along with abilities that are sort of like spellcasts in that. I'd actually just call it an action RPG, a looter as well. You control various warframes in the game. They're essentially different classes, all playing extremely different from each other, and there are also prime versions of each warframe that you can unlock, which are even more powerful versions of them. You can craft and upgrade different gear, weapons, mod your warframe to fit your playstyle. It's sort of Diablo-esque in the way you build your character, but there is no dumbing down of the possibilities here. One of the main complaints I think you'll find in these shooter games that try to go the RPG route, like a Destiny or the Division, is that it feels like the devs put a lot of effort into making things as simplistic as possible. And I think that's a turnoff for a lot of people. One of the main things that I think drives people to dump, hours, hundreds of hours at times into these kinds of games is to explore all the different possibilities. Build options for your main character, your secondary character, whatever. You don't just want to feel more powerful, obviously you do, but you also want to find new ways to feel powerful, which keeps things fresh. Keeps you from feeling like you're just doing the same rotation of skills and all that over and over again. You can try out a new build and it very much changes up the game. In terms of the actual gameplay, this game is gotta go fast. The game, sprinting, sliding, dashing, wall running, gliding. This is actually another reason why I would say this is more so an action game than, say, a shooter. Because, yeah, I'd say these fast and fluid motions are honestly more akin to something like Bayonetta than it is something like The Division, which I find to be even more fun. Makes you feel even stronger as you can use your speed and acrobatic skills to outmaneuver your enemies. Now, there is PvP in this game, but yeah, certainly not the focus, and I don't believe many people embrace it. Again, largely from the people I've talked to, I wouldn't say this is totally an abandoned mode in the game, but it seems like a lot of people don't even bother with it at all. Most of the time you'll be playing these randomly generated levels, and it is grind intensive, if I remember correctly. You'll be spending quite a bit of time collecting the resources necessary to, say, build a new warframe, and that is where I have a bit of concern with the monetization, which I'll admit I'm not very knowledgeable about. I never spent any money in the game in its original form, but like I said, I also didn't play it that much. If you've played or are currently playing Warframe, please feel free to share your thoughts about the monetization in the comments. I know you can buy the Warframes. I don't know as much about like the weapons and armor in terms of actual power. I know there's a lot of cosmetic changes you can make in the game. Perhaps there's some in that arena as well. But I will say, even if there is some pay for power, while I'm not for that, while I don't like it, I don't think it would be as big of a deal in a game like this, since it's mostly about that co-op factor. When you're playing against other people, the paying for power is obviously a huge issue. But when you're just working with other players, I could see it being less of an ordeal. Still, I don't like it. Again, if you're playing it, let us know your thoughts on the current monetization of this game. In terms of the cross-play or cross-save profile transfer type deal that has been the talk of the town with many games lately, I don't think they've said anything about that yet. But to my knowledge, this stuff isn't offered on any other platforms, so I definitely wouldn't expect it to come here, perhaps an addition somewhere down the road. With crossplay and cross saves and that getting so big, becoming such in-demand features, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more games start to add it in. And Warframe, you know, it's on Xbox One, it's on PC, it's on PS4, which you probably won't be able to do cross anything with. But it's on a lot of platforms, it's free to play. I'm sure they're considering it. And let's talk briefly about the port, the Switch version of this game. Obviously, you can't say much about it until people actually get their hands on it. Hopefully it plays well, but I have faith here because, wouldn't you know it, Panic Button, the best of the best when it comes to porting games to the Switch, are heading up this port. So yeah, I think it's safe to have, you know, modest hopes for this. I don't know if we'll be getting all of the content in this game at launch, if some of it will be cut or just rolled out later. Like I said, there's been a lot of stuff added to this game. I think there's like 30-something Warframes, so essentially 30-something classes. I know the game even added sort of an open world area not long ago, so, you know, hopefully the Switch can handle that. And that actually reminds me, I want to talk about this being a bit of an older game. I see a lot of people hating on this announcement because the game is old, but I wouldn't agree with that at all, as this has been one of those living games that has only gotten much bigger and better over time. People have told me, again, the people that play this a lot, the current product feels like it has added enough that you could consider it to be essentially Warframe 2 in its current state. But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited for this Switch release. Like I said, the co-op aspect, as well for the loot grind stuff, that's all right up my alley. But I, as always, reserve the right to learn more about how the game runs on the Switch, the monetization, and that after I play it for myself to determine my final thoughts on this Switch version of the game. But from what I played myself long ago, along with what people are saying about the game now, I could see myself getting pretty into this when the Switch version drops. And with that, this video is a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Warframe coming to Nintendo Switch in the comments. If you're playing the game now or have in the past, let us know your thoughts on the game itself. And do you plan on checking out the Switch version? As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.